Welcome to Techin5 Case Study. This is where we'll give you one of our case studies in 5 minutes. I'm Madeline.
And I'm Christina. Here we go. This particular case study, we're talking about a success story at Withum for the auction industry. Very complex industry when you start getting into the details of it. Lots of moving parts, a lot of details and managing assets from ingesting into the auction process all the way over into delivery, and a lot of resources and tools that we use to accomplish that. In this particular case study, there was a combination of an ERP platform, which was used to track the financial part of it, as well as an integration into an auction platform to track the sales part of it. And finally, wrapping all of that back into fulfillment and any type of apps and software that we use for packaging and delivery of the asset to the consumer. So lots of cool stuff that happens in this particular case study. Madeline, if you like, I go ahead and run into the ERP side of it and talk about what the primary ask was for the client. And then maybe we can wrap it. Yeah, and we can wrap into some of the communication tools that are needed also in the periphery. So the primary pain point for this client is the ability to have a lot of room for adjusting and changing information regarding the asset once it was consumed into the ERP. So if you know about ERPs, typically if we put a SKU into an ERP, besides coding in a variant or something, if we have something that's highly unique and specialized, we use two methods, either a lot system or a serial number. But in this case, the serial number wasn't sufficient because we wanted to create groups of these particular assets that were changeable based on, you know, if we sell part of the group, but then we want to keep the other part and then move it. So there were a lot of requirements for adaptability and changing inside of the ERP for a very large volume of assets. So talking about speed, efficiency, and accuracy, we've mentioned before on our shows. You know, if you're having to manually enter data, then there's room for error. So we wanted to find a way to be able to adapt this particular ERP and customize it so it could handle large volumes of transactions with a lot of changes. And we were able to do that. Of course, it was a big project, took a long time for Withum to implement. It was over a 12-year mark. I'm sorry, 12-month mark, not 12 years, 12 months. We sure would be outdated at the end of 12 years, wouldn't we? 12 months.
I think in technology, it would be outdated in 2 years, yeah.
Absolutely. So 12 months, and then we integrated this ERP backend system to the front end, which is the auction platform. Now, the auction platform handles all of the client-facing or customer buyer-facing transactions and exchange of data. So the customer goes in, they create a profile, they're starting to engage with the auction process. They can scroll through inventory and see what's available. They can choose whether they're participating in a single item or whether it's a batch, and all of the details regarding that. So the auction platform runs on its own, like you would see in an e-commerce. And then the challenge was to be able to reconcile that data that's managed on the auction platform over to the ERP platform. And we were able to get them to talk to each other using connections that didn't require any type of manual transferring of data back and forth between them. And then ultimately adding in the fulfillment side of it, all of your pick, pack, ship from warehouse, all the way into the packaging and finally the shipping and delivery. So very cool, interesting stuff that Withum was able to do in this auction environment, and something that we can easily replicate into any kind of asset. So we can do anything from automobiles to art to jewelry, clothing, collectibles, you name it. And the cool thing is that on the supporting side of this, on the infrastructure, we can use tools that Madeline can talk about, such as Teams, collaboration, and SharePoint and infrastructure.
Yeah, because it's one of the things that collaboration always plays into, right? And so with the Microsoft technologies that Withum is very familiar with, we're able to bring all of those pieces together so that there isn't a lack in communication. Teams definitely makes it very easy for people to have conversations quick and easy, and actually have some kind of way of looking back at some of that information. It also pulls in a lot of other aspects of Microsoft 365. So you really don't have to have a ton of things up. You can have Microsoft Teams up, you can have NetSuite, you can also see all that information that you need to look at, but you can have it all kind of glanced one way into Teams. You don't have to keep switching between different windows, which makes it a lot easier on the person who's doing the work, right? So you're not having to go through billions of different things to get what you need.
Absolutely. And any type of ERP that's sophisticated, like a NetSuite or a Microsoft Dynamics, including the Business Central, these are platforms that have been developed that play well with others. So they're friendly to connect with apps. So you don't have to commit to one ecosystem versus the other ecosystem, but you can share data across different apps that you might choose to connect into the ERP. And in this case, there were several apps that connect into a core NetSuite base. But we could easily replicate this in a Microsoft environment. And then, of course, like you were mentioning, the collaboration tools make it easy. If there's a question about a particular product, I can take my Withum mug and take a picture of it and just Teams that over to somebody and say, is this the item that you were referring to? And, instead of doing it through email, it makes it very easy and a lot faster to share information between teammates.
Oh, for sure. And I think to the point you're saying, the technology is not so much just the one home that you're in. You don't have to be just on a Microsoft platform. The frenemy idea is that everybody's working together, right? Everybody's working for one big course. It's a frenemy. It is an actual term that the CEO of Microsoft has used to describe, working with these other companies, because really these companies know you're not just loyal to one. We all use multiple ones. Just in our daily lives, we're probably using Google, Microsoft, Amazon, all of those, right? So this is a way for everybody to come together. So we're really seeing that kind of collaboration across the companies together to make it a lot easier for the consumers.
For sure. We're moving away from siloed information transactions into what we call the app-centric environment. So where we have a bunch of different apps that manage very specialized business areas, but they all communicate. They play well with others is what I usually say, but I like frenemies. And it makes it easier for us to drive our business on a day-to-day basis.
It sure does. Well, if there's any information that we need to get, who should we reach out to if we want to hear more about this case study?
Yes, and this particular case study, which has to do with auctions, our management consulting team, and there is a link that we'll post at the bottom of this video, which will take you directly to that information. But anybody on our ERP team would be happy to talk about it. That would include me.
That sounds great, and I'm glad that we'll have that link down there for everybody. And thank you so much, Christina, for breaking this down for us. This is a great topic to talk about, and something that's it's good to hear the behind the scenes of what really happens.
Absolutely. And I look forward to hearing more about some of the success stories and the case studies that we have on your side.
Oh, definitely. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.